2 years before his death, Saint John Bosco was visiting Barcelona, Spain. I bet you didn't know that he went there. It was a glorious trip full of incredible events, but that's a story for another time. During the night of April 9th, 1886, he received a new vision pertaining to the Salesian Missionary works abroad. He later related this dream to his Salesians in a voice at times choked by sobs. Here's what he said.
The Miracles and Prophecies of Saint John Bosco, a project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Matthew Miller. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Don Bosco found himself in the neighborhood of Castelnuovo, standing on the hillock known as Brico del Pint. He turned his gaze all about him, but could see nothing more than thick scrubs that sprawled everywhere and which were covered by an infinite number of small mushrooms. Now, Don Bosco said to himself, this is also the country estate of Joseph Rossi. He ought to be here. Rossi was a Salesian coadjutor brother. Shortly after that, in fact, he saw Rossi on a distant hilltop, gazing most seriously over the valleys spread out beneath him. Don Bosco hailed him, but he answered only with a distracted glance, as if his thoughts were elsewhere. Turning in another direction, Don Bosco also saw Father Rua at a distance, who, just as Rossi, was most seriously but peacefully seated, as if resting. Don Bosco called to both of them, but they remained silent, not replying by so much as a gesture. So he descended from the hillock and walked over to another one, from the summit of which he saw a forest, but it was cultivated, and roads and paths ran through it. He gazed around in another direction, looking toward the limits of the horizon, and even before his eye perceived them, his ear was struck by the uproar created by an immense crowd of children. No matter how much he tried to discover from where the noise came, he saw nothing. Then a shout followed the uproar, as though in the wake of some catastrophe. At length he saw a vast crowd of boys who ran toward him, crying, "We've been waiting for you! We've been waiting for you so long! Now at last you're here! You're among us, and you won't get away from us!" Don Bosco didn't understand it all, and wondered what these boys wanted from him. But while he was standing there, dazed in their midst, gazing at them, he saw an immense flock of lambs led by a shepherdess. After she had separated the boys from the sheep, she set one group to one side and the other to the opposite side. She stopped in front of Don Bosco, to whom she said, "Do you see what's before you?" "Yes, I do," Don Bosco answered. "Good. Do you recall the dream you had when you were 10 years old?" "Oh, it's quite hard for me to remember it. My mind's tired, and at present, I don't remember it very clearly." "Good, good. Think hard, and you'll recall it." Then she summoned the boys to Don Bosco's side, telling him, "Now look in this direction. Look further on. All of you, look further and read what is written over there. So what do you see?" "I see mountains, then the sea, then hills, and again mountains and seas." "I read Valparaiso," one boy said. Another boy said, "I read Santiago." "I read both those names," added a third. "Well," continued the shepherdess, "set out from there, and you will form an idea of how much the Salesians have to do in the future. Now look in that direction. Draw a visual line and look. I see mountains, hills, and seas." The boys, too, focused their eyes and exclaimed in chorus, "We read Peking." Then Don Bosco saw a great city. Through it ran a wide river, over which some bridges had been built. "Good," said the maiden, who seemed to be the boy's teacher. "Now draw a single line from one end to the other, from Peking to Santiago. Establish your center in the middle of Africa, and you will get an exact idea of how much the Salesians have to do." "But how can all this be accomplished?" Don Bosco exclaimed. "The distances are enormous, the place is difficult, and the Salesians few." "Don't worry. Your sons, the sons of your sons, and their sons again will do this. Just let them steadfastly observe the rules and keep the spirit of the pious society." "But where are we to find so many people?" "Come here and look," she said. "Do you see 50 missionaries standing ready there? Farther on, do you see others and still others? Draw a line from Santiago to the center of Africa. What do you see?" I can see 10 central mission stations. These central stations that you see will make up houses of studies and novitiates, and will send forth a multitude of missionaries to staff these lands. Now look to this other side. Here you see 10 more centers reaching from Africa to Peking. These too will provide missionaries for all these other lands. There's Hong Kong, there Calcutta, further on Madagascar. Here and also elsewhere there will be more houses for studies and novitiates. Don Bosco listened as he looked and examined. Then he said, "And where can so many people be found? And how can missionaries be sent to all those places? There you have savages that feed on human flesh. In this place you have heretics, and in that one persecutors. How shall we manage?" "Look," the shepherdess answered, "be of good will. There's only one thing to do. Recommend that my sons constantly cultivate the virtue of Mary." "Okay, good," I said. "I believe. I understand. I will preach your words to all of them." "And beware of the error now prevailing," she said, "which is to mix those who are studying the human arts with others studying the divine arts, for the science of heaven is not to be mixed with earthly matters." Don Bosco wanted to say more, but the vision disappeared. His dream was over. As Don Bosco was relating his dream, his 3 listeners kept exclaiming, "Oh, Mary, Mary." When the saint had finished, he said, "How much Mary loves us." Then, when he was discussing this dream in Turin with Father Lemoyne, the author of these biographical memoirs, he said calmly, yet with a highly significant tone, "When the Salesians will be in China and find themselves on both banks of the river that passes through the Peking region, some will settle to the left bank from the direction of the mighty empire, and others to the right bank from the direction of the Tartarian region. Oh, when the one group will be able to meet the other, to shake each other's hands! What glory for our congregation! Yet the time is in God's hands." Don Bosco, though never reaching China himself, inspired future Salesian missions through his dreams. The fact that a part of the dream referred to Chile is evidenced by the fact that when 2 Salesians arrived in Valparaiso, over 200 little boys ran after them shouting, "Our fathers have come at last! Tomorrow we'll be able to go to school! Oh, how happy we are!" When they saw and heard these things, the Salesians remembered what they had read in the dream, for what was happening was fulfilling the prediction. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless you, and Our Lady keep you.